Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Azakai here, bringing to you another video for Conqueror's Blade. And this is a update log for December 25th. So, uh, Merry Christmas. We're gonna see a couple of interesting things, but let's get straight into it. So, APAC, we're gonna have our maintenance on December 25th from 1300 to 1700 UCC plus 8. EU and AMS is going to have theirs on December 25th, 0600 to 1000 UTC plus 1. Maintenance is expected to last for 4 hours. We're going to be compensated with 8,000 bronze coins, 400 honor, and 20 unit medals. So the first event is the New Year's Dawn gift mail incoming. The event details are as the New Year's bells ring over the Royal City to celebrate warlords setting out on a new journey. A mail reward will be sent to warlords who logged in between June 19th, 2025 and December 31st, 2025. This mail can be claimed within 30 days. Please claim it in time, warlords. Event time is gift mail will be distributed after 1200 hours on January 1st, 2026. As the new year nears, um, rewards arrive. So we have benefit 1, we have the new year login rewards. During the event, claim treatises time 20 for free in total. In addition, log in daily to receive 1 Christmas blind box. Open it for a random reward, such as Epic Hero Schematic Crate, Pure Wisdom, Artificial Stone, Rare Refined Weapon Schematic, Rare Refined Armor Schematics, Fragment. I don't know what fragment in this is the case is. Bronze coins and more. Uh, Reward mechanics upgraded. Every 50 opening guaranteed 1 epic hero schematic crate. I don't think that's an upgrade because like it's just a pity system, honestly. Or is it an upgrade? I can't remember, but we've had similar things before, and so um, pretty sure it's like it was 50 openings before as well, where you get 1 epic hero schematic crate. There's also you can also buy them for a limited time in the special offer selection of the store. Daily purchase of 50, of course. So if you got money to spend, I guess. Um, December 21st to January 8th, after and before maintenance. Benefit 2, the Arabian Night reward upgrade. Interesting. Um, so after maintenance on December 21st, reaching decryption progress 18 in Arabian Nights will grant an additional event exclusive epic title, Arabian Nights Codebreaker. 30 days. Oh, okay. Warlords who reach progress 18 before maintenance will receive the title retroactively. New season tier 5 unit Royal Longwoman pre-order now live. Enjoy an exclusive avatar and discount coupons. Blah 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 blah. Apparently there's an exclusive avatar if you pre-purchase this uh, pack. So you get the 7 tokens for the 7 stages of the Royal Longwoman and 2 times 20% discount coupons, which are tradable, if that really matters. The availability is December 5th to after maintenance to 0 hours June 12th. I said June, I meant January. Um, the Scourge of Cadmus attire chest is now available. Legendary shield and spear attire Scourge of Cadmus returns for a limited time. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so we're getting the chest back. It's going to run from December 25th after maintenance to January 22nd before maintenance. Probabilities are disclosed as the legendary spear and shield and spear attire for 0.5%, sealed weapon attire from past seasons 14%, uncommon and rare attire 85.5% for detailed rates. Please check out the attire chest in the obviously G menu, I believe in this case. And you have to go through the tabs, of course. Store Christmas special here. Brand new Christmas special bundles are now live. Limited time sales on resource packs featuring illusionist keys, epic hero schematics, and resource for Doctrine Alchemy and Forge are available. They're not even trying to hide the pay to win aspect of this game, but again, more or less pay to progress. But yeah. Oh, this one's interesting. The premium account New Year special is open for a limited time. Purchase a unlock 360 days of premium account. One purchase covers a year. If they do this once per year, that's really good. Duration is December 25th after maintenance to January 8th before maintenance. Progress pack rotation special count pack for 5-star units from past seasons now available. Season selection infantry pack 2 includes Shield Maidens, Zweihanders, and Queen Knight. Infantry Unit 1 includes the Madao Battalion, Retiare, Orochi Samurai, and the cavalry units is Keshigs, Chevaliers, Yanyu Daos. Obviously, I'd choose the Shield Maidens from the first one, Madao Battalions for the second one, and Yanyu Daos in terms of probably best bang for your buck. But in terms of interesting units, of course, I've got to go with my good old Zweihanders, Retiari, and the Chevaliers. I mean, Chevaliers are crap, but they're definitely a very unique unit. All right, probably the actually interesting stuff. We have the unit reworks and mastery adjustment. We got the Zychelium Militia mastery change from mastery 5 base ammo increased 25% to 50% to 25%. Honestly, they should have reduced this. They should have basically replaced this. Being reduced down to 25% is probably an okay amount. I think reducing it down even further would have probably been wise. Mastery 6. So they completely changed this one. So they direct burn damage duration against non-fireproof units extended by 2 seconds. Does not affect control effects. This is actually really weird why it would specify non-fireproof units. Um, this should not matter, considering that the Zychelian militia are supposed to be using Hellfire, otherwise like Napalm. So it shouldn't care whether or not the unit is fireproof or not. It should just be a 2 second extension to the burn duration. I don't, and also it says direct burn duration damage as well. So that's even crazier because it's just like hitting with the fire pot. You literally have napalm on you, so that's burning itself. It's not burning anything else. So, um, does not affect control effect, which is very interesting because the control effect is something separate, um, which is again quite strange. Mastery 7, so they reduced this, so burn damage from burn accumulation increases by 120 per second. They did it 200, so they dropped it down by 80 points, which is very interesting. And they replaced Mastery 8 completely, which was the knockback. Units affected by explosion have all armor penetration values reduced by 72% for 4.5 seconds. That is actually insane. Armor penetration values being dropped so drastically is actually insane. Um, Not to mention their application would be pretty easy, and the duration not I wouldn't say it's not exactly short, but it's not exactly long either. That's also that's also going to be eaten up mostly by the 3-second frightened state. So there's that as well. Uh, if I'm going to be honest, is that enough? Is that enough to how to say nerf Zychelium Militia? Honestly, I would have preferred they just get rid of the mastery. Basically, everything in the mastery, besides the help, besides the speed increase, everything in the mastery helped the Zychelium Militia way too much. No matter how you looked at it, ammo increase, too good. The blunt damage increase, too good. The burn damage increase, too good. The 20% extra direct damage against shield units, too good. The knockback, too good. Everything about the Zykeeli Militia just ended up being too good, and so the mastery in itself should just not have been pushed. The changes in the mastery, again, just feel like they're overtuned, and they're also in a really weird direction. Like, this one feels like it's in a really weird direction, and the units affected by explosion also in a really weird direction. That's kind of crazy how the all armor penetration value beat how they're adding a massive ass debuff while you're on fire. They apply a armor down. They have a defense. They have an inbuilt defense reduction. Um, and of course, if you're not fireproof, these guys will just destroy you anyway. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of really crazy. Um, Now we're on to the Sparkies. I love my Sparkies. I'm glad that they're getting some adjustments, but these adjustments are going to be a little bit hit or miss. We're going to have to test it out a little bit, see what exactly changed. But we got skill mechanic adjustment charge. When Sparkies move towards target point, they will automatically anticipate enemy distance and leap forward to trample. After the skill ends, the entire unit will automatically trigger Impassioned, trampling the enemy once more. During the skill, you can manually trigger Impassioned to end the skill early. Coup de paid during the skill. Only trample attacks are performed. Regular attacks are no longer uh, inter interleaved. Leaved? I mean, I would have much preferred if they just used interweaved. I don't know what interleaved. I don't know. I've never used interleaved before. I don't even know what interleaved means, but sure. Targeting logic optimized to reduce unnecessary movement and attacks. One of the problems with Cryptopade is that its attack radius is too small. It takes in consideration enemy and allied collision, and it most of the time will push past enemies. So what it does is it moves forward and attacks forward again. So it's really stupid that it does a double move forward before the attack. So what ends up happening is that if they're right up against their target, they'll move past their targets because of the whole sliding nonsense, and or they'll end up pushing the target aside. So that's really funny. The other thing I'm kind of worried about is automatically triggering the leap. I'll be honest, I don't like impassioned. I just like the regular burst charge because I used to use that all the time to um just just charge through stuff. You can use the leap to now leap into stuff again. So like I get used to new stuff, but I like the regular charge. The regular charge was just really good. It it also works really well with the bludgeoned. The bludgeon enhances the charge so much. There's, like I don't know. I don't know. The changes they do sometimes, like obviously I won't like it. I just hope in the end it will feel good. But yeah, I don't like impassioned. I feel like I want to just get rid of impassioned. But it's a free leap basically, and it's a big leap by the way. I just don't like how I can point blank impassioned and they'll be leaping the same distance no matter what. So it's like using Yan Yu Dao's again, which is except it's like zero. It's at zero charge. Um, we have mastery change as well. Mastery 8 after charge, impassioned, or coup debate are activated. The Sparky's leap trample attack animation cannot be interrupted, and piercing damage received while leaping is greatly reduced. I forget what Mastery 8 is, but I'm pretty sure anyone could take a quick look at what it replacing. You know what? I'm just gonna bring it up. I'm just going to load up the game real quick. Can't remember everything. What exactly is Mastery 8? What is Mastery 8 replacing? And just slide that over there for a second. So the whole mechanics thing, that's just a native change. So that's a default change that's happening. But Mastery 8 change, they're actually replacing something. The reduced piercing damage is interesting. I don't know why they just don't have reduces damage in general, but it has to specify piercing damage while leaping. And it's twofold. After charge, impassion, and coup debate are activated, the Smahi's leap trample attack cannot be interrupted, which is interesting because charge is unstoppable, impassioned is unstoppable, but I do know that coup debate is mostly unstoppable. There is something weird happening where they can be interrupted at at some point during the attack, but they can't stop the attack from starting, which is really weird. Which is really weird. They can stop the attack. They can interrupt the attack mid animation though, which is one of the worst feelings because Smahis feel very unstoppable most of the time. Oh, okay. They're replacing that one. Um, so so Mastery 8 is Glory of Empire. Impassion will cause the enemy within range concussed for 1.5 seconds. Then that's getting replaced with this new one. So that's interesting. So hopefully with this change, this should make Sparhies completely CC immune. Completely CC immune. I know that Swahi's are almost virtually CC immune. They just have a couple of weird interrupts during certain attack animations. Not all attack animations, by the way, because I know for a fact that you can't. They don't have they don't get startled when you CC them, which is really weird. But you can interrupt certain attacks, and their stomping attacks and their trample attacks. Yeah, their leap trample attacks can be interrupted, which is one of the weird things. But they don't have the startle animation, which tells me that they can't be CC'd from the default state, which is also really hilarious. So it's just like, they're uninterruptible while not attacking, which is really funny. But charge and impassioned are completely CC immune. They did add one second of CC immunity to Coup de Pay though, so there's also that. All right, sorry, enough about Spahis. I love my Spahis, and it's been a really long time since like anything happened with them, so I'm really glad that they've done something. But at the same time, more power creep. This piercing damage thing's going to be really annoying, but nevertheless, um, ASAPs. We have skill mechanic adjustments. We have counter strike adjustments. Upon activation, immediately enter a defense stance and close with the enemy. When attacked, the counter attack triggers instantly. You may also reactivate the skill to trigger the counter attack immediately. During the skill, you will not become guard broken due to block value depletion. Skill duration increased to 6 seconds to improve tolerance. Oh, okay. So that is whack. Um, okay, I'll explain it in two folds. So, originally, when the ASAPs were released, their counterattack used to be automatic. Now, the one thing here is I don't know what they mean by activate um, when attack the counterattack triggers instantly. Now, does that mean they they now do a counterattack when they block an attack? Because that's what they used to do. Now they just stay in that defensive state until you reactivate for the counterattack. So I'm wondering whether or not that will return, or if they get attacked enough, it will automatically reactivate it to trigger the attack. Who knows? The skill duration being 6 seconds. Like, are they talking about the counterattack hold duration? Which means that the react like because these are two separate there's two separate durations in Counter Strike where the Counter Strike you can hold it for a certain duration, and then there's the other one where on reactivating there is also an additional duration. So that being extended because the follow up of that is just an on watch. Um, is it just an on watch, or is it? I'm getting mixed up now. It's been a while. But anyway, is it those kind of things where reactivating it now 6 seconds, or you can hold it, or you can have the first state for 6 seconds, which is again two separate things. Two separate things. So gotta think about that. And finally, the most broken part about this is the guard. You will not become guard broken. Not being able to break the blocking stance is insanity. Because as far as we know, the blocking stance can only be broken by block value depletion. We don't know if the game deactivates the blocking mechanic if you have zero block. Now, what this could mean is that while Counter Strike is up, they're basically invincible to any attack that is blockable, which is pretty broken. And it's not the first time we've seen something like this. Again, basically anything with CCI or basically that can ignore the block breaking state is virtually invincible because block provides damage immunity and effect immunity. Certain attacks or effects might ignore the block, but that's few and far between. I know that some weird things like the feathered crossbowman's knockback ignores block, but the attack doesn't ignore block. So there's that weird thing. Um, so this one change might make ASAPs way crazier than it might actually. It, it, I'm pretty sure if this is done badly, or if this is done like I think it is, um, ASAPs could be insanely tanky for this Counter Strike. And do mind that this could also affect Onwatch because they enter the Counter Strike stance at the after they activate Onwatch, which is really hilarious, if I do have to say. Um, so that could be a what do you calls it? Um, a knock-on effect where they change one thing and it also affect another thing. So just watch out for that as well. On-watch adjustment. No longer interleaves regular attacks during the skill. After the skill ends, enters a free attack stance. Again, good change. It means that they'll on-watch constantly. They they do regular attacks, but most of it is on-watch attacks. So um, it it just increases. It just slightly increases their reliability, and it makes their consistency basically 100%. So mastery changes. All right. So we're changing mastery 5. Mastery 5 is recast glory. Reduce block loss in Counter Strike. Gain 20% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Very interesting. So for mastery 5, we're changing that to attacks triggers under Counter Strike deals an additional 500 block break damage. Very interesting. Makes sense. Make Counter Strike basically unstoppable in this case, so you can't get block broken. Give them extra block damage instead of so you're changing out the damage reduction. I mean, you're changing out the block loss, the reduced block loss, and the damage reduction for 500 block break. That's that's insane, by the way. 500 block break is insane. Um, there's not very many units with block that are going to be able to withstand ASAPs because they attack a lot, quite a few times. I think Counter Strike also is default too. Um, oh, I might be in a long time. Um, I'm I'm actually not sure, but I know it's 2 attacks. Counter Strike is 2 attacks. Um, so there's that. So that's 1,000 extra block break just with those 2 attacks already. Massive ass buff right there. And changing Mastery 8 every 5 hits with On-Watch restores 2,000 health. This replaces Imperial Decree, which gains 1 Counter-Strike stamp when being attacked in Counter-Strike state up to a maximum of 5 stacks. When using Counter-Strike, restores health equal to Counter-Strike stacks 300 per second for 3 seconds. Gain damage bonus equal to Counter-Strike stamp stacks 10% for 5 seconds, and remove all Counter-Strike stamps. Jesus, that's overloaded as shit. Which again, quite interesting. So we're losing a maximum of 1500 per second for 3 seconds, uh, 1500 health per second for 3 seconds. So that's 1400. Sorry, that's 4500 in total on a single Counter Strike activation, and 50% extra damage for 5 seconds. For 2,000 health every 5 hits with On-Watch. Now, the interesting thing here is whether or not um, it's only during the On-Watch activation of the ability, or it uh, also counts the On-Watches um, that are activated through mastery skill because they have a 15% chance of triggering on watch if you go bottom line. And it says hits, which is also very interesting because on watch is I, I believe it is a triple attack. It's a triple attack. I think its default is one, but if you go bottom line, it can be two because there's a +1 for on watch attacks. So nearly every attack you could be triggering 2,000 health. That's some crazy. That's some crazy. That's something crazy, man. All right, moving on to Javelin Sergeants. So Mastery 7 additional block break effect increased to 500. Mastery 5. Oh no, sorry. Mastery 7 is not Mastery 7. Um, Actually, they might have made a mistake here because Mastery 7 is increased damage against infantry by 500 points. What I believe they mean to say is Mastery 6, which is increases Javelin block break by 300 points. So they're going to increase that by 200 to 500. Is that significant? Yes, it's very significant, in fact. But what I think is even crazier is the throw javelin will fire two javelins. So it replaces their gorilla. If throw javelin hits an enemy, damage dealt by throw javelin will increase by 3% per stack up to a maximum of 10 stacks. This bonus is lost if the unit retreats. I've said this before, and I think they should have done this earlier, but javelin units in general need to be able to throw their javelins much faster. And this change is absolutely amazing, just for the sheer fact that um, double throw, double shot is now completely dead. Completely dead. Double top veterancy javelin sergeants are now a no go, 100% no go. With the mastery, throw javelin throwing two javelins at the same time. You don't need the double shot, especially since like you get more ammo if you go bottom line as well. So um, I'm actually very curious to see how effective and how the DPS ends up being for Javelin Sergeants. You're going to have less control because it doesn't specify the direct throw or I mean it only specifies throw javelin. It doesn't include the direct throw or the snipe, and that's kind of one of the things where it's just like if it did specify those ones, maybe it would be cool. Maybe it opens up the unit. It just buffs the unit in such a way. But since it is just specifying throw javelin, really great to see kind of how strong that would be in the end. Regardless, that's still a 100% increase per throw. So huge bonuses. I mean, that's crazy. That feels crazy. And besides, javelin sergeants are already like very crazy in terms of like their anti-unit kind of thing. Probably one of the stronger javelin units in terms of like just sheer output. Like you like if you were going top line, you could throw 5 times or something within 12 seconds or something, and that's just a ton of damage being pushed out. Of course, you get superseded by nearly every tier 4 ranged unit, but okay, half of them. Um, but at the same time, you have block break, so you're really good against shields. So that you got that going for you. All right. Moving on, we have Imperial Archers. Mastery changes. We have Mastery 5. Snipe will fire 3 volleys. Mastery 8. Cooldown reduced by 10 seconds within the same duration. Cooldown reduced by 10 seconds within the same duration. Fire 2 additional volleys. Oh, wow. All right. So 5 and 8. 5 is that's a bullseye. Adds the snipe skill. So default, the snipe skill. Okay, sorry. Let me just read it out. That's a bullseye. Add snipe skill. 2 volleys of bodkin arrows are fired at the enemy. The cooldown of this skill is reset upon killing a hero. So they've changed snipe to just shoot 3 volleys. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep the cooldown. The cooldown of this skill is reset upon killing a hero, but it doesn't specify that. So may or may not. So up in the air in that one. And now the Mastery 8 on target, instead of fire as an additional volley. So snipe skill shoots 3. 3 on live right now. They're changing it to 3 by default, and then an additional 2 volleys plus 10-second cooldown. That's really crazy. The snipe skill, my goodness, within the same duration. I'm not sure how long the snipe skill lasts, but 5 shots in the same duration. I think the crazy thing here is that it's very similar to the bodkin arrows, which shoots 5 times in 7 seconds, by the way, um, which is actually which is actually a crazy high fire rate for any ranged unit, and they're doing the same thing to snipe. So they have some pretty insane DPS just from the skill activations. And honestly, I one of the things about bodkin arrows on the Imperial Archers as well is that they have a small amount of block break. I'm not exactly sure how much it is, but it's less than 50. So there's that. Again, some of these changes are really out there, and their impact. We're going to have to actually try them out to see their impact in battle. But I'm expecting to see a lot of ranged units come out. I mean, Javelin Sergeants and the Imperial Archers so far. We're gonna see these guys come out of the woodworks because these guys are not weak. Well, I say not weak. They actually affect shields because they have block break. So this could be very interesting. I mean, the asset changes in the first place. Whew, that's massive. I mean, the block breaks in every single one of these things. Like the potential is there. The potential is there. And finally, we have Imperial Spearguard. Mastery change. Mastery 8 attacks also reduces enemies' damage against Imperial Spearguard by 35%. As if these guys need to be tankier. What are we replacing? So, aww, that's really sad. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter too much because they already have the knockdown if you go bottom line. Yeah, if you go bottom line, they have knockdown. Um, so Imperial Spearguard's Mastery 8 is progress. Striking the same hero or unit 5 times in 2 seconds will concuss them for 1 second. This effect can only be triggered once every 5 seconds. So it changes that from attacks also reduce enemies' damage against Imperial Spearguard by 35%. It doesn't specify if you need to be in formation or in cover commander, so that's a good thing. I like that. It doesn't. It has no conditions. You just need a hit. So that's really good. That's really good. It really does. It really does help that it's kind of a thing where you can have Imperial Spearguards in formation, but again, people are probably going to use it in Cover Commander 90% of the time because Cover Commander has just so many bonuses. But I'd like to see kind of like changes like these where it's just like formation's good now. Formation's good. But this is a general change. Um, I don't believe that Imperial Spearguard needed like to be even more tankier. This just basically brings them on par with the Spear Sergeants, but not really. Spear Sergeants have a higher heal rate. Spear Sergeants also reduces armor penetration. So eh, bit bit hit or miss here. Bit hit or miss. Um, so that's the least interest. So this is the least interesting change out of the mastery changes so far. So that's really sad. So we got the Master's Sword. Optimization and adjustment. Optimize an issue where female characters show significant sway slash jitter in certain animations when using the Bastard Sword. Optimize the attachment point offset of the weapon on the characters back when female characters use the Bastard Sword. Fix an issue where female characters could exhibit abnormal animations when casting mounted cross execution with the Bastard Sword. Fix an issue where Hue Core Node Sword Dance caused abnormal stamina. Fix an issue where Molionette Advanced Core Node Bulwark Stance caused abnormal skill cooldown duration. Fix an issue where damage was abnormal when attacking while riding a mount. Whoa! That's very interesting. It is abnormally low, so I'm wondering what they're going to do. Also, I'm still wondering what the right click is supposed to have over the left click, because so far they both seem to do the exact same thing. So I'm wondering whether or not this will fix the left and the right click issue. Fix an issue where roll could not be performed while using bandage. All right. All good bug fixes. I do know what the sword dance bug was. So basically, um, so basically, this would cause your stamina to for some reason drain out once if you were to use your stamina uh during the sword dance during the sword dance part. Oh, buff, I think. Damn it, let me just really quick. Can't remember what the sword dance. You got Hugh. Yeah, so what would happen is that um what would happen is that the you wouldn't receive it wouldn't reduce the stamina it wouldn't reduce your stamina costs. So this is I was thinking of a different bug. I was thinking of a different bugs where if you were to use the flash step a few times in a row, it would drain all your stamina out of nowhere. That was a different bug, I think, or maybe it's related. But other than that, these other one, besides the mounted one, these other two I'm not really familiar with. Oh, Lancaster Billman. They're getting a buff, but it's not enough. I honestly don't think it's enough. Increase the maximum number of targets for basic attacks in Brace and Thornwall State by 1. Increase basic attack damage in Brace and Thornwall States by 13%. Reduce the basic attack interval in Brace and Thornwall States by 20%. Increase the damage coefficient of thrust attacks when using thorns in the Thornwall state by 22%. Fix an issue where the final node climbing stem in unit training could cause Brace and Thornwall attacks to malfunction. Lower the minimum threshold for triggering speed bonus damage in Brace and Thornwall state by 15%. Now, I'm going to be a little skeptical here because the Lancaster Billmen have the same 9 meters per second threshold that other polearm units had, and a second one. They had a second one. They had two thresholds. So there was a lower threshold and a higher threshold. So here's the one thing that really is annoys me a little bit. I believe one threshold is for the thorns when I was on the PTR, and the other, sorry, one threshold is for brace, and the other one's threshold is for the thorn wall. So the thorn wall has a lower threshold where it only has up to like 2 times, but the brace threshold is at the higher end, but it goes up to 15. Sorry, it goes up to 10 times, not 15 times like the other ones. Um, I believe it's 15 times. Oh my goodness. It might be 20 times actually. Other polearm units are 20 times, I think. Uh, don't quote me on that. But I believe it's 10 times for the Lancaster Billman, 2 times for the lower end, 10 times for the upper end. So when it says it's reducing this minimum threshold for both brace and Thornwall State, I'm wondering what they're referring to because we don't know these values. And the fact that we don't really is sketchy. I really do wish that they would tell us these things. But let's leave it at that. All right. Kind of let's go over what's happening. So this is a 100% increase in damage output. This is another 13% in damage output. So we're up to um in this case 213, we're up to 226% damage output of normal, which is like 126 increase. And then we're reducing the basic attack interval by 20%. So that's a 25% increase on top. So 226 multiplied by 1.25. So we're up to 282.5. Yeah. So that's an increase of 182.5% in damage output. Is that enough? It's a lot. Is it enough? Not really. Why I say not really is because the actual damage output they would roughly need to reach is probably closer to around about 300%. So we're about slightly over halfway there. If I was to keep them at their current health and stuff, um, what you realistically want to achieve is a 4 times performance output. This increase is actually rather significant, but it's not enough for the Lancaster Billman for their price point. They're way too squishy, and I'm really upset that they haven't addressed this at all. They're way too squishy. They have low health, low defenses, and again, like they have no, they have very little amount of protection. 20% damage reduction is basically nothing in the grand schemes of things compared to block. Block is just so powerful, but 20% during brace, fine. I mean, it also includes Stonewall State, so there's that. Upsettingly, I'm really upset that they didn't buff the basic attack in normal mode, just the basic attack while braced and in Thornwall State. And again, like it's upsetting that they would focus on the brace state for me because I like a well-rounded unit and a unit that makes sense. But in the end, I'm going to ask, is this good for you? Is this, I mean, have you used the Lancaster Billmans in live? Have you been having success? I doubt it. highly doubt it. Anyone that says that Lancaster Billmen are good, I'ma slap you because they're trash. And even after these buffs, I don't believe that the Lancaster Billmen will be good enough. Because after these buffs, we'll probably see roughly roughly about 1,000 damage coming out of these guys against kind of their contemporaries. One thing that gets me is the really low armor penetration. And I mean really low. The armor penetration for the Lancaster Billman is savagely low, which is really weird because, like, if you're going to have a really low armor penetration, they should have a really high damage. Um, but because the because the damage is also low and the armor penetration is also low, the damage output is just goddamn terrible. Um, so the armor penetration in this case is probably still holding them back against armored targets, and I mean that in the most direct way because the things they're fighting against already reduces their damage by like 50% just through armor. And that's crazy because that's not the extent that they could be reducing it. I mean, they do minimum damage to Iron Reapers. And I think they would do minimum damage to Iron Reapers even before the armor before the very heavy armor trait, which is like hilarious. So tell me, I mean, Lancaster Billman, do you think this is enough? Do you think this is a good change? I think it's a good change. I don't think it's enough. But who knows? Maybe we'll see some Lancaster Billman in action. Highly doubt it, but see if people can actually be successful with them. I'd much rather they be super tanky than giving them extra damage. I'd like armor penetration to be increased, though. Obviously, I'd like their normal state to also be good, but that's just me. The alchemy, the doctrinal, doctrinal alchemy system will no longer produce the following doctrines: Health and Labor Doctrine 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Supply Doctrine 3, 4, and 5. The following doctrines have been added to the Doctrinal Alchemy system. So we have the Whistling Arrow. Doctrine 4. It's counted as Type Other. Applicable units is Archers. Doctrine effects is every 3 successful hits inflict bleed damage equal to 8% of the target unit's current health can be triggered in coordination with other units. That doesn't sound great. Whistling Arrow Doctrine 5. Applicable unit, Archer units. Oh, sorry, 5, blah, 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 blah. It goes to 12%. It's still 3 successful hits. Inflict bleed damage equal to 12% of target's current health. So, the bleed damage, honestly, these doctrines, crazy, 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 crazy. Why? It's bleed damage. That means it's ignores all kinds of defense. And even if it's current health, it's not going to kill the unit in question, but there's not very many ways to defend yourself against it. High output archer units are going to be very scary. And this is really hilarious because Namcan archers without serrated arrows actually have a really high fire rate, um, which you could take advantage of by using arrow rain. So that's hilarious. Um, but this also means that you can get incredible value out of lower tier archer units. So you could slap this onto archer militia and be like arrow rain. All of a sudden, you're bleeding out 10% of 12% of a unit's health like every 3 arrows. That's incredible value. That's incredible value that is generated from very cheap units, by the way. Um, Stronger archers will not care about this actually. Um, Archers that do tons of damage in the first place won't really care about this. Archers that um, do very small amounts of damage but can shoot a lot will get so much value out of this. Oh my god! You know what else? A really good archer unit would be the Houndsman. Houndsman. You can put this on Houndsman, and they have their own bleed. They have their own bleed. So that's bleed, bleed, bleed. That's actually insane. I didn't think I just thought about that. Houndsmen have, well, on a per model basis, they don't output the most, but on a per model basis, they have the highest fire rate out of um, all of the archers. Second second comes is the Rattan. Out of all of the range, out of all of the archers, of course, they're the top. Out of all of the range, it's the Houndsman still, and then the Rattan Marksman. Rattan Marksman is a point .8, which is actually still pretty incredible. Moving on, Winged Bolt Doctrine 4. So applicable type other applicable unit is crossbow units. Hitting infantry with tower shields or buckler slows them for 30% for 3 seconds. Now, is this 30%? It says hitting. Does that mean it doesn't count blocked attacks? I mean, who knows? 30% slow. That's pretty good, if I do say so. The 5, version 5, gets upgraded to 6 seconds instead of 3 seconds. So it's still not 30%, but it's 6 seconds now. That's a pretty hefty slow. Even the 25% from the longbowmans feels like you're a snail. So 30% for 6 seconds is going to feel like it's going to take forever to get against crossbow units. Obviously, obviously, this is probably going to be even crazier on the Nemez Arbalist, who kind of been wreaking havoc already. So that's not going to be great. I don't like doctrines in terms of balancing, but I like doctrines in terms of like the kind of things that they can offer because it doesn't it does discriminate in a sense. But the broad unit types are generally very interesting to think about. Victory Rush, Doctrine 4. Type Other, applicable units is Sword Cavalry. Doctrine effect is melee attacks reduce the damage of infantry units and lance cavalry units by 60% for 2 seconds and become unable to move. Wow, that's a pretty nasty effect. My question is, what types of hits are going to count? Because there are 2 units that I have in mind that might have interesting attacks. First of all, the Kev tools. They have ranged attacks, by the way. Does that count? Because if that counts, you have a ranged unit that can immobilize lance cavalry and infantry units. That's insane. And then you have Keshigs. Keshigs one's a little bit scuffed. Bowler? Man. It's a little bit of slow. It tickles a little bit. It still counts as an attack, and it still hits. I'm wondering, with this, does that immobilize really helps him out? Does that less reduction in damage helps them out? Who knows? But those are the two units that I find very interesting because they're the only ones that can apply, or not apply, but let me rephrase. If their ranged attacks can apply this effect, that's very interesting because they're the only two units that have ranged attacks and they're classified as a sword cavalry unit. So does that will that help those units in particular? I think yes. And I'm really interested to see how that manifests on the battlefield because that can be quite quite irritating, especially if you're like lance cavalry and you're trying to get away from sword cavalry, and all of a sudden they're just shooting you and you can't run away. Nevertheless, um, moving on, we got the victory victory rush version, victory rush doctrine 5. It gets upgraded to 80%. So you're taking minimal damage from these units. So that's very interesting. So version 4, 60%, version 5, 80%. That is a massive reduction. It's only for 2 seconds, but that's still a massive reduction. Vanguard Doctrine 4. Type other applicable unit is special infantry. The effect is, after each attack, gain 20% movement speed for 5 seconds. How applicable is this going to be? Well, let's think about this. Let's think about it like this. You have to attack. You don't have to hit. Does that mean certain charge attacks will trigger it? Does that mean you can dry fire certain skills and it will work? I'm on the fence of kind of I'm on the fence of kind of like how this movement speed is going to really be important because the only way I can see this being quite a major factor is for units that have relatively long relatively long durations of skills and spends a lot of time walking instead of attacking. So Iron Reapers, pretty much the only unit and the specials that I can really think that would really benefit from the increased movement speed. Because let's think about it like this. They attack. If their target dies, they got to move on to the next one. That's really obvious. So they'd benefit from increased movement speed. Tiger Fist, do they need to benefit from increased movement speed? Not really. They only do 2 sets of attacks, and after those 2 sets of attack, they're just normal mode. So they're restricted by cooldown instead of movement speed in this case. So they don't need to rush in as much as you think. I mean, they have a charge skill anyway, which gets them into battle. Zealots, absolutely not. They do not need any movement speed when they attack because they already get on top. Especially when you transform them, they're constantly moving forward with each of their attacks, so they're right on top of the enemy, so they don't need it. Um, Crescent Monks won't really need it either. Again, they kind of a little bit weird, but they get bonus movement speed when you activate Eclipse anyway, if I'm not wrong. Um, Cudgel Monks, again, not a unit that really needs movement speed after attacking, mostly because they move forward when they attack. Well, I mean, when they do their whirlwind attacks and stuff, so they're kind of a burst unit as well. So we're kind of so we're kind of scuffed here. So this doctrine is not very useful in a sense, and it's a bit utility based. Maybe, actually, considering it's after each attack. If the duration was a bit longer, you could use this as kind of like a get in, get out. Get in, I'm sorry, you're in and then get out kind of thing. Um, I'm just wondering, like, it says after each attack. So I think it is actually supposed to be something like that. You go in, attack, get out. So yeah. Um maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. I was thinking that it would activate on attack, but it's after attack. So they have to actually do an attack and then it triggers the movement speed. So actually this is way more valuable and way more intuitive than I I was thinking about it the wrong way the entire time. Um, so yeah, this could be quite useful in a utility sense, especially for slower units like Iron Reapers. But Tiger Fisk might be an interesting one as well. Actually, all of them would be an interesting one. Just the bonus movement speed after attacking um, would be really excellent just to get my zealots out sometimes. But they would probably die anyway the moment they turn their backs. Uh, yeah, Flatland Doctrine 4. Ugh, God. Oh, sorry. Um, Vanguard Doctrine 4 is 20% increased movement speed. Vanguard Doctrine 5 is 30% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. So they're both for 5 seconds. But version 4 is 20%, version 5 is 30%. Flatland Doctrine 5, type other, applicable unit is special cavalry units. Doctrine effect, movement speed increase by 10%. The version 5 is 15%. Now, let me tell you why I think this is actually not really great. Um, there's a thing with, I think, the potential for Order of the Dragons is not realized because there's one thing, if anything, I realize with Order of the Dragon is everyone underutilizes their speed. And what I mean by that is very few people can utilize their speed with their Sacred Verdict in order to get that high end damage. Now, you add an extra 15% speed plus the 15% speed of their unique doctrine, maybe get the extra 7% from the um, mobility doctrine sprint, you might be seeing some damage numbers that might be a little bit freakish. Because do remember, natively they can hit almost, if not at least, uh, not almost, but like I've seen damage numbers in the 9,000s. Do mind that like it's going to be reduced a lot by a lot of armor and damage reductions, but bear with me. I mean, companions can deal like 11,000 damage, and they only hit 2 targets. Order of the Dragons can hit 5 targets, and they're doing 9,000 damage, and with damage doctrines and stuff. Like, what's the trade off here? Higher damage multiplier or higher base damage? If for some reason people all of a sudden just start zooming through and all of a sudden you take 9,000 damage, don't be surprised because Order of the Dragon's potential has always been there. It's just really difficult to utilize because not very many people know how to use Sacred Verdict to get that speed boost. Not that not no one does, not a lot of people, but people have been using it a lot. So don't underestimate Order of the Dragons. Um they're definitely getting some buffs from around the bends kind of thing in unexpected ways, or maybe completely expected because I'm keeping it in my mind the entire time. So we have the Linebreaker Doctrine 5, Doctrine Type Other, And the applicable unit is the special infantry. Doctrine effect is every 3 attacks greatly increases block break effect against units for 2 seconds. Fine, whatever. I mean, the units that would probably benefit this from the most are high frequency ones. So watch out for Kuggle monks, watch out for crescent monks. Those two will probably scare the Shishis out of you with their block break. And I'm not even kidding that Crescent monks are already causing a havoc against shielded units. With this doctrine as well, you will see shielded units disappear in front of the Crescent monks. Cargo monks might be a kind of a sneaky, kind of like a sneaky anti shield unit coming out left wing here. They don't have very much block rate, by the way. The windmill strike not that great, but who knows? With this doctrine, maybe we'll see some nasty surprises. Finally, we have system optimization. Optimize the unit sorting rules on the deployment screen and the warband build screen. Enable the recommended for new player tag for units and added corresponding usage instructions. Added a button on certain items to view how to obtain required materials. When tempering reach 5,000 triggers the guaranteed Tier 5 doctrine, the system will prioritize Tier 5 doctrines you have not yet obtained via this pity mechanic. Only Tier 5 doctrines acquired through tempering pities are counted. Ooh. So, what that means is that the pity mechanic has a pity mechanic. It will. So, okay, it's separated. Whatever tier fives you get from regular tempering, from like sorry, regular alchemy does not count towards the tier 5 doctrines you have obtained through the tempering pity. And that's important because they have a clause where the tempering the tempering the pity mechanic for for reaching 5,000 tempering gives you a tier 5 doctrine, but it will give you a tier 5 doctrines you have not obtained yet through this tempering pitting. So that's really good thing to keep in mind that the number of times you go through the tempering pity thing will determine um, if you have gotten all of them or not. And you so for veterans probably this is probably you probably won't get stuff you want, but in time you will eventually be have all of them eventually. So this is also really interesting because if that also is retroactive, where when they add another one, the next time you get reach the pity, you'll just get the new one straight away. So that's really interesting. Good change. I mean, one of each doctrine is obviously not enough most of the time, but and I'm pretty sure since I I'm not sure if they can retroactively count the doctrines acquired through temporary pity. Who knows? Maybe it can. Um, maybe. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? In the end, it's still a good mechanic. It just means that you'll eventually get everything at least once. But it's only through the temporary thing, so how long's that gonna take? I have tons of Doctrine Spirits saved up, but considering that 4 Doctrine Spirits are required in order to get 4,800, I only have enough for 16, 16 full 5,000 tempers. So I think there's way more than 16 tier 5 doctrines. And they just added a whole bunch as well, so that's also another thing. Optimize movement, sprint, and hit reaction animations for female characters using Bastard's Order. I don't know why they put that here. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they put that here. They should have put that up there with optimization and adjustment. Maybe a last minute thing. Bug fixes. Fix overlapping supply point interactable model on the weapon training map. Fix an issue where female characters using pikes experience abnormal displacement when knocked back. Fix an issue where the Outrider skill Burning Blaze could sometimes fail to throw its explosive javelins. Dude, you actually gonna fix that? Oh my god. You know how long that skill has been bugged? Um, I thought it was an issue with like it's an internal cooldown thing because like um they tried to stop it from throwing their explosive javelin multiple times, but when they made it so that they could throw explosive javelin, a chance to throw explosive javelins, it basically screwed up. It basically screwed up their them being able to throw with their burning planes entirely if they've thrown javelins at all. It works perfectly fine if they haven't thrown at all, but the moment they start throwing javelins and you try to use burning planes, they can't use burning planes at all, which is really funny. Fixed an issue in Territory Wars Conqueror's City where the battering ram could become unable to move. Alright. Fixed an issue in the Territory Wars Conqueror's City where units on a flying. Fixed an issue in Territory War map, Conqueror's City, where units on a flying bridge could sink into or clip through the terrain. Huh, interesting. Um, been a while. Flying bridge is the one that shoots ballistas and stuff, and yeah, shoots out. Oh, I've never ran into that bug besides just complete desync. So yeah, interesting. Fixed an issue on the Riverlands Castle map where heroes could pass through the gate. Oh, okay. I don't believe I've seen that one. Fix a collision issue in one location on the Riverland Castle map that could trap heroes. Okay, I could tell you like there's three. Um, Mostly around braziers and signposts. Obviously, that billboard in front of the main gate, I hate it. Obviously, the market stalls, those things as well. Those should be destructible. I swear I got stuck in between those while trying to hide from units more than once. Fix an issue where short sword shield skills kick one and kick two fail to knock down enemies on the third input. That's interesting that they forgot to put in the knockdown. That means the third input. That means the third kick didn't default have the knockdown. So they fixed an issue where the flame shackle set could not accumulate burn stacks again. That's what was happening. That's absolutely hilarious. Oh my god. If that was the reason why that didn't work, that would be hilarious. Fix an issue where so yeah, like people were saying that the flame shackle set didn't cause burn at all, and they thought it was just bugged. But if the burn stack just could not trigger just because units with fire resistance just was very prevalent, that would have been absolutely hilarious. Fix an issue where Earth Shatter set failed to apply control effects to units. Interesting. Fix an issue where the Yanyu Dao's fire resistance tag did not function properly. I'm sorry? When did Yanyu Dao's have fire resistance? Because I swear to God, Yanyu Dao's did not have fire resistance. Sometimes I'm really surprised, like when units end up having traits that I do not remember them having. Like, I don't remember Yan Yadao's having fire resistance. Keshigs, where's your Flame Wars? Okay, that's weird. Keshigs lost their Flame Wars. That's also very interesting. I don't remember Prefecture Cavalry being fire resistance. Yep, sorry. I'm just. I feel like I'm going insane sometimes. But maybe I'm just misremembering stuff. Fixed an issue where the English voiceover in the new player tutorial Siege Mode introduction video did not play correctly. And that is all. I know I spent a lot of time, but that is a lot of information to go through. But I do want to hear your thoughts and ideas on the unit reworks. What do you think about the Zykelia Militia? Absolutely ruining your game? What about the changes to the Spahis, Assaps, Imperial Archers, and the Javelin Sergeants? Let's not even mention the Imperial Spear Guards because I don't care about them. Um, Bastard Sword. What are you guys thinking about the Bastard Sword? Because I'm gonna be honest, it's really fun to play. To play against, not so much. If I was to use a normal weapon, I'm pretty sure I would have the worst time in the world. At the same time, it's not that bad. Because when when Shield and Spear first came out, it was pretty tough to justify, or I mean, it's still pretty tough to justify um, Shield and Spear. And if I was playing anything else besides the Bastard Sword, I would 100% still nerf Shield and Spear. Um, but right now, if I was to say, if I was to nerf a class, right now, it would be Bastard Sword. What would I change? I mean, get rid of the block on the leap, on the leap. First of all, that's like 100% needs to get rid of. Um, Second of all, get rid of the heal on the ult. Jesus Christ, that thing's OP. If you at least get rid of the heal on the ult, or um, both of the heals, by the way. I'm talking about both of the heals. The heal, the 20% missing health heal, and the 2% per second. Like, that is a crazy amount of healing baked into the ultimate skill. After those two have gotten rid of, you can keep the 35% damage, reduced damage, within 10 meters because that's fine at that point. It's not exactly crazy. Well, it's still really strong, but it's not exactly crazy when you think about it. With once you got rid of the heal. Alternatively, you could get rid of the 2% heal and the damage and keep the 20% missing health heal. That's my other alternative. But just get rid of. I won't accept keeping the 2% heal per second for 15 seconds at all. That needs to be get rid of, like 100%. Get rid of. Um, can't have it. Can't have it at all. Uh, oh, so those are two, like, those are my two top changes for Bastard Swords for now. But nevertheless, I want to hear what you guys think. Do you guys think it's OP? I mean, everyone's playing it. Everyone's having a lot of fun. But we gotta bring it back a little bit and think about other classes a little bit. I definitely do think that it's kind of getting overboard with the number of people playing Bastard Sword. But that is all for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year's. Bye for now.